Yeah, I mean, it touches on a lot of things. Open source is sort of and really I think a lot of the decentralization movement and open source software, the cathedral and the bazaar, the kind of famous essay that looks at how do you crowdsource the best, the most secure code is the code that's most open and most transparent. And there's a real desire to kind of experiment out in the open and to iterate out in the open and to leverage that the intensity of peer review that is the real world on these things. And so, I mean, the internet sort of evolved that way, and certainly, I can remember, first generation internet. You say, hey, you're gonna put a piece of software, you're gonna be able to put a word processor in a web browser, and people would have laughed you out of the room, like, this is like a joke, you can't do it, it's not gonna work. Or with video, the idea that you needed centralized, highly controlled, resilient infrastructure like satellites and cable systems and so on to deliver television. But then, actually you could do it with open standards over the open internet. And this balance between centralization, decentralization, and the constant ability to increase quality of service, security, resiliency on decentralized systems is sort of a feature of the internet. And I guess this is, I think, to some degree, what this discussion of stable coins and central bank digital currency and will they coexist, and is one of these sort of born and grown out of the internet as standards, and is another kind of built to be operated as a kind of controlled, resilient system. And I'm interested to hear how each of you think about that juxtaposition and how that could play out. Anyone can jump in.
Yeah, I guess I'll start in. I think you kind of have to break down fiat-backed digital currencies into three parts. It's kind of what type of money is backing it, or collateral. Who is responsible for operating the technology that actually issues and redeems it, and who operates the network that digital currency is transferred over. And so you could start to see the spectrum of design choices that are emerging, where at one end you have these private sector led, the leading existing stablecoins, like USDC, that are backed by treasuries or commercial bank money issued by fintechs and operated, transferred over public blockchain networks with thousands of nodes that are validating transactions. And then on the other end, you could imagine a digital currency backed by a central bank reserve, issued where the technology is operated by the central bank to create it, and the network is operated by the central bank. I think there's a lot of room in the middle of options for public and private sector partnerships to be able to back and issue digital currencies and operate the networks that they run on. And so we think more digital currencies will emerge in the future, and they'll land somewhere across that spectrum, and they could potentially coexist or engage in market-based competition for various use cases based upon diverse properties that they can have.
Yeah, I mean, there's sort of Fedwire money, which is a particular form of electronic money, and then there's Visa electronic money. And today, at least, Visa electronic money has a lot more utility value than Fedwire electronic money, just for everyday kind of stuff. But Fedwire money is like really important for a certain class of very important scaled transactions with a very clear set of controlled, trusted intermediaries, and sort of, it's that interplay. Other thoughts from you guys?
Well, I think one thing. Go ahead, Diana.
Okay, I was just gonna respond to the security sort of point you made before about open source. It's really surprising. I think sometimes people think because something's out in the open, it means that people are looking at it. There is a very long tail of stuff out there that no one is looking at. And if someone, it's very time consuming actually to audit all of this software, to really break it apart. And there aren't necessarily the right incentives in place to do that yet. I mean, the incentives around open source software is really really complex. We see things like, bugs in OpenSSL and in really core pieces of software, which tons of billion-dollar companies rely on, but it turns out they're being maintained by a couple of people in their spare time. So, I think that there really is this issue with open source software that we need to figure out how to solve. And we're really seeing it in the cryptocurrency world where there's so much money sloshing around, where how do we fund that very deep, important work of doing the auditing, of looking at all the software, of testing it rigorously, of really making sure that it's top notch. I just wanted to make that point.
Yeah, no, it's like the bar is so much higher in the technology for digital currency than the kind of protocols that yeah, we can get streaming television and it's great over the internet, but sometimes broadband goes down, and what do you do? If the internet goes down and you've got digital cash, what do you do? Interesting questions like that.